Hello, how is everybody doing in this wonderful heat wave? So today we're going to work on a snap bag, and it's going to be a combination of an IQ designer or my design center project in order to do the quilting, but we're also going to do a lot of this on the sewing machine. I taught this several years ago at Embroidery Club, how to make a snap bag, because they're so simple to do, although there were some things about it that I would like improved upon. So this is the one that we did several years ago. Things I didn't like: if I wanted to put an embroidery, this triangle, this prairie point, is just too big, so it needed to be smaller so I could fit some kind of embroidery in here. The other thing too that I really didn't like about the original one, and I've already thrown that one away because it's all worn out, is that when you turned it inside out, you had raw edges that you had to zigzag over. And you know, zigzag never looks nice. And this last one I did, I put binding around it. And you know, it's okay, but you know, I would prefer something with no seam allowances showing anywhere. So we've got a different way to do it. So I've made some changes on it. These are just metal tape measure things that you get at the hardware store. I got this several years ago from Walmart. It was like $2.97 for one. It's at 1 inch wide. They also sell them smaller. If you're going to do a regular standard size bag, which is what this one is, I recommend using the 1 inch, which is what this is. If you're going to do a little mini bag like a change purse, then get a smaller one. I think they make it in like 1/2 inch or 5/8 of an inch, which is thinner for a smaller bag. You can cut these with regular scissors, and I did. However, don't pick good scissors. Pick scissors that are ready to go in the trash, because they will be after this. Or use tin snips. So I just cut them. Whatever size your bag is, because you can make this in different sizes. It doesn't have to be as big as what I'm doing today. But you want to make your tape piece 1 inch shorter than the width of your bag. So if you're going to cut your bag 9 inches, which is what we're doing today, the width of this is going to be 8 inches. Of course, it's 8.5 inches by the time you sew the seams on the side. You need some duct tape to cover the edges. And what I did is I just, cut it, and I rounded it and then snipped the curves and then just taped it down. That's all. Be careful when you're cutting this stuff. This stuff is sharp. So what I did was I cut it inside of a paper bag, because these little, when you're changing the curve here, making this a curve, these little shards fly and they're really sharp. So if they land on the floor and somebody steps on one, especially if you're on carpet, it's going to hurt. So be careful with these. You need a piece for your prairie point. Normally it's a 4x4 inch square. I think I used 4.5 inches for this one. I cut this one at 3x3 because I want it to be small, because I'm going to put an initial here. Okay, you don't have to do your quilting inside of IQ Designer or your embroidery machine. You can just take your sewing machine and with a walking foot and just go around a few times. So you would prepare a piece, and this one I've already cut. But you're going, for this bag is, I think it's going to end up, 7 by 8 inches. This will be the finished bag. You want it bigger. So I started out with a 10 inch by 16 inch piece of fabric for the front and a piece of batting. I just put it in the hoop, and this is going to be cut back to 9 inches by 14 inches anyway, or to 9.5 or 9. You're going to be cutting this into 2 pieces of 9 inches by 9.25 when you're done. So you might as well just make a big long piece and quilt the whole thing, then cut it up. And I'll show you how we did this on IQ Designer before in a little bit. You need a little piece of 2 inch wide interfacing, and I just used Steam a Seam, nothing special. You can use any interfacing. 2 inches by 9 inches. For the lining fabric, you need 2 pieces of fabric, 9 inches by 9¼ inches high. So that would be this lining fabric, this is what I've selected as my lining fabric. And we'll talk about that a little more with construction. If you want to make straps, you can. I did make straps as big as you want, and I think I cut this 1.5 inches. I already put the snaps on, so I am making this for my daughter-in-law, and she's probably listening. So Rachel, this is going to be for you when I finish it. So this is going to have just a little wristlet here, and I made that 1.5 inch wide by about 14 inches, you know, or I just stuck it through my wrist, and yes, good enough. And I used my 1.5 inch clover tape maker to fold the 2 edges in like this, and then I folded it in half and just hit it with the glue to keep it still, and just top stitched these 2. Yeah, listen, it is hard. So I just top stitch on either side 1/8 inch away, and we'll talk about how we put this on in a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about making the quilted piece. I'm going to use my biggest hoop available, which is what, 9.5 by 14, and that's all I need. If you have the Solaris, you can make it up to 16 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this camera, and we're going to do this on the IQ Designer. So how I got the quilting done in the first place. Anyway, I'm going to hit IQ Designer. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and go to my settings pages up at the top. And if you didn't see where that was this thing. I want to change this to the 14 by 9.5 inch hoop. Okay, and I want to put the 1 inch grid on. Okay, and that's all I need here. I'm now at IQ Designer. Actually depends on what fill you select. Let's look at the fills. Okay, these are the, if I'm just doing stippling, don't care. If I'm just doing stippling, all I would do was, let me pick that, and just flood the whole thing. Boy, that looks mechanical, doesn't it? Okay, so no, I don't want that one. Okay, so, but if I'm picking some of the special ones, if they're the all over kind, like this one or this one, ones that don't have a focal, like this has a focal, that has a focal, these don't. So the ones that don't have a focal, you would just simply select and flood, and then flood it, which is the region fill, and it fills the whole thing, and you could use that as your quilting for this project, and it's the whole frame. Not hard, but say, and undo. I'm going, well, of course, you know I picked a hard one. I picked this one, and these are the ones that came originally, the first 10. These are the new ones. So I think if Sandy's on tonight, she just got the one for the Destiny, or the Dream Machine, and these are the ones you get, which this is the one that I used, but there's that one. And that one has a focal point. Well, I don't want that one. I'll pick, I like that one. Okay, so I pick this one. Okay, so because it's got a focal point, I'm going to want this in the center of whatever side I'm making. And what happens is that, okay, I'll select out the light pink. Okay, that it's 14 inches this way, but I'm going to be cutting this into 2 sections and 2 focal points. So you can have them, I want the center to be right here in the middle, and another one right here in the middle there. Oh, another thing this pattern is really good for, the old patterns did not work very well at all if you had directional fabric. This one, you do have you can use directional fabrics quite easily. Okay, so if I am having a focal point that I want the 2 sides to be the same, but I want that center flower right here in the middle, then I need to make 2 boxes. Pick one big, my shapes, and I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to make this as big as it'll go. So I'm going to hit size, And I want to make this as big as it possibly could go. So which is as high and as wide as it'll go. And it'll stop when it gets to the top. I want it to be at least 14 inches high. Okay, that's good enough. 14.017, that's good. And I want to make it wide, wide as it'll go. Or at least 9.25 inches. Okay, 9.45. That's fine. Okay. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to make a straight line across the middle. And that's hard to do because sometimes if our screens aren't calibrated, you can't get to the edge, which means it's going to leave an open area. Okay, I'm going to draw my drawing tools. I'm going to pick a double line. And I am going to, I'll make it whatever, red. I don't care. And I'm going to draw, I want to pick point to point. So I want to draw with my point to point, just straight across. Click and drag. I don't care how. So I'm going to now draw straight across. And I'm using the grid line to make sure that I get it straight. Or straight enough. Okay, and I'm going to hit. Didn't it do it? Okay. Huh. Why didn't you not do it? Undo. Draw a line. Draw a line from here to here. Straight. Okay. And that's good. And then I select it. Actually, I'm going to select part of it. Not the whole thing. If you have the Solaris, it's fine if you select the whole thing. If you will notice, as it goes right here, I selected inside the line that I drew. So my red box is cutting off the line, and I don't care. The reason is because when you go to size and you have the Destiny or the Dream Machine, the size it tells you it is including the box. So it's whatever you have in the box. So if you've drawn your box outside of that line, you can make it as wide as you want, but that line will never go to the end. So what I'm going to do is hit my size. I'm also going to move my key. Now see, if I move my keys down, see I've got little bits of this line right here and a little bit here. So I am going to put this in the center. I don't know if it's in the center, and I'm going to move it in the center so that the line, I'm just guessing. Okay, I'm just going to make this as wide as it will go. Take my size and just make that thing huge. And it will, okay, let me scoot it over a little more. Wider. Okay, I think that's as wide as it will go. It's 9.54 wide, that's fine. I'm going to use, now it's right here, I'm going to use this arrow key to move it right in the center. And the line is right there. I'm going to put it right on top of the grid. Okay. Then I can go ahead and touch off. So, the other thing I want to do is I want to turn all of this into a no-sew line. Okay, and I'm going to touch, whoops, undo. I want to flood. There, I got everything. Now also I can hit these little things. I'm just going to take them out and cut them. Okay. Okay. Now I'm ready. Now I can flood my design. Oh, I have a break. Okay, I don't know why I have a break. Undo. Okay. It worked really well last time, and I don't know why it's not working again. Let me pick a box again. I want to pick a box. I'm going to make the box. Here's a different way to do it. If that's not working, we do it a different way. I have my box. I'm going to size the box, and I'm going to make it let's see, what's half of 14? So make it 7 inches high. I want it 7 inches high. So there's more than one way to do things, thank goodness. 7. And you can see over here with my sizes, it's telling me it's 7.16, and I'm going to make that a little shorter till it's 7. Come on. There we go. And I want it as wide as it'll go. So it's about 9, 9.5, that's good. And I'm going to move it up to the top so that this line is right, the bottom line of the square I just made is right in that center mark. Okay, I'm going to duplicate it. So I hit the duplicate key, which is here, and I think it's in a different place for the Solaris and the Luminaire. Hit size. I'm going to put it in the middle and move it straight down to the bottom. So now I have, oops, too far. Okay, now I can, now watch, it'll flood right. Okay, let's try this. Flood. Yep. And I'm going to change the color and flood the bottom. I could leave them the same color, but now I can see what's going on. Okay, now that's an overall pattern and it's kind of busy. So I want it to be bigger than that, so, but we're going to change that in the attributes section. So this is all I'm going to do for here. So I'm going to hit next. And this time I'm going to change the scale of it. So I'm going to link the two together because I want them to have the same scale. And I'm going to hit on, and I want to make it about, well, let's see. I'm going to try, let's see what it looks like at 200 set and preview. Nope, too big. Return. Let's go to, oops, and link it. And go to 175. I think that's what I used last time. Set. I played around till I got it to look like I wanted to. Yeah, I've got a whole pattern here and a whole pattern there, whole pattern there. I'm liking the way this looks. I could go a little bit smaller. Let's see what happens if I go just a tiny bit smaller. Link it. Maybe 170. Yeah, I like that. That looks giving me, here's the top of the pattern, gives me about 1/4 of an inch before the pattern repeats, and that looks fine. I have it so that the stitching, it'll stitch around the edge, and I'm done. So I'm ready to take this to the machine. Hit set and okay. Okay, I like the way that looks, but I want to put an initial, and I want to put an initial. Now, realize that it's going to come down about 1 inch. So say if this is my top, the top of it is going to overshadow by about 1 inch. And then my prairie points are come down about 1.5 inches. So if I have my letter in here, that'll work fine. So let's see. I'm going to add a letter. And the other thing too is I did get a couple of extra fonts that I didn't have before, and I'm liking that one. That's the new one. And let's just say I did an R for Rachel, and I hit set. Okay, so, alrighty, I'm going to come up here, put this one this way. And I'm going to center it just right over that little circle. Okay, and I need another one. But I'm going to, like, this is the top of my bag, because the reason is I need to add 1/2 inch up here. So, or 1/4 of an inch for the seam allowance, so I'd rather have it there. So I'm going to add another R. Same font. R. R, R. I'm going to leave it at that, it's the large one. Move it down here. But I need to rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and then 90 degrees again, and good. That's about where I want it. Okay, I'm ready to stitch it out. So I would hit OK, and now it's on embroidery, and this is what it would look like stitched out in one piece. And since this is mostly quilting, you don't have to put any stabilizer underneath there. Just hoop your quilt batting and your top and your fabric right on the top and quilt away. These are not really dense stitches, and these are designed for quilting. If you feel you've got another design that you're putting in here other than just a letter, you're probably going to want to float some tearaway stabilizer just before it does this design. I didn't do that. I just stitched right on the thing. Nothing special. Okay, so now we're done with that. I've already stitched it out. Like I told you, to save time, I did all the stitching. It took about 40 minutes to stitch out in the first place. So, you know, like, you don't want to sit there and watch me stitch for 41 minutes. That'd be crazy. Okay. I've set up my sewing machine, and it's just a straight stitch that we're going to use for this. Now this is this is how mine stitched out, okay? All right, so what you did is I cut this 9 inches wide, and I cut right on the line because there was a line through the center here, so I cut right on that line. And so here, as you see, I didn't put any stabilizer here on the back at all. It's just regular. Okay, so what you want to do is, here is you're going to prepare the top here. So you're going to go 1 inch from the top and draw a line. Chalk. I'm just going to use chalk. That's not the top. Luckily that's iron away. This is the top where the letters go. Like I said, this is directional, so therefore, if you have directional fabric, you just keep both pieces separate, okay? You will need 2 pieces of fabric here. This is my lining. Again, this can also be directional, and this one I cut 9 inches wide by 10 inches high. And to that I added a 2 inch by 9 inch wide piece of interfacing. I'm just using no-show mesh because, well, that's what I had handy. Any interfacing will do. I've never done them with interfacing before, but I thought, well, this might help make it last longer, because the problem that I have with this method is that my batting stopped right here, and therefore everything wore out in here really quickly. Even though the edges are covered in this tape, the problem with this one is that this metal just wore right through the top. It just completely wasted away. Okay, so you prepared that. Now to prepare the prairie point. You could do prairie points the normal way, but you know I'm not going to do anything normal. Normally we would prepare prairie points by folding this in half and then folding here. And this is all you would do for prairie points. You'd fold it like that, and you had a fold on one side, and I don't think that looks really neat. So what I did is I folded this right sides together. So you press it a nice crisp fold here. Pretend that's tight. You do another one in this direction. Again, right sides together. Then you're going to fold it wrong sides together for the diagonal. And don't stretch it, that's a bias. Then press the opposite way. And you just may want to avoid that line. There we go. And then you have one diagonal, you fold, you grab a hold of the diagonals like this, and you simply hold them together, and then it makes a nice point form that. The better you press, the sharper your point. And then you press that, and now you have, it looks symmetrical, so you've got folds on either side, and it's nice and neat. Okay, so I've got my mark here. So I'm going to put this on either side. I've dropped my one inch line. I want to put this in the center, and luckily this design gives me the center, and right on that 1 inch mark, and I'm just simply going to stitch it right on the line, just to baste it in. Regular stitch length, and I'm using purple. Okay, that's good and basted. If you want to put a strap, and there's different things you can do for this strap. This one I just used a nice one that's just a nice wristlet. The other thing you could do is do a short piece and put a D-ring on it with a lobster clasp that you could put so that it would come off like that, and it would hold your keys. You want to put either the strap or this D-ring 1 inch down from, or 2 inches down from the top, and just baste it in place. And I just double stitch it just for extra reinforcement. Okay, next we need to take, and I'm just going to pin this down so that it's out of the way. So we have everything basted in place. Okay, and then we're going to put this, can you see that? Where there's my 1 inch line, and if you want to pin it, you can. You don't have to. You can live dangerously. And put the lining to the front of the bag. Sew a scant 1/4 inch. Scant 1/4 inch. Okay, and the same thing on this one. She knows what I'm talking about. So, okay, so again I'm going to sew 1/4 inch here, a scant 1/4. Where's my light? There's my light. I don't know if you, is that blinding you? It might be blinding you. Let me know if it is and I'll turn it off. Okay, and alrighty, so I'm going to press this up. I'm going to get my pressing mat underneath here. I'm going to press it up. I'm just going to finger press it for now. And I'm going to see over here where it goes 1 inch down. So press that, come over here. Okay, press this up, and then I'm going to press it right here along this 1 inch spot, right at the top. Okay. And you can pin it if you like. Now your interfacing is going to overlap, and that's fine. I'm going to press that. That's not staying. So we have this. There we go. Okay, and then I want to press this right here. And it's okay if your I cut my lining a little longer, because the lining is actually becomes the top cuff of your bag. Okay, so now that's okay. Same thing on this side, on the other side. So I take my lining and press it up. Like a nice crisp edge, and see I'm just folding it right here and folding it. You can pin it for a second if you like. There, just pinned it while I come to this side and wrap it over. Okay, and see, now that becomes the top of the bag. And these are in proper LSU colors. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to double check that I've got them even. I want the two because they're going to have to match. Okay. Then I am going to, where'd the chalk go? I just want to chalk this top so that I can see it if I need, or just pin it. Put the pin at the top so I know where to join. Okay. Going to open this up. Put it right side up. Let me move this iron before I cause problems. Or stab myself. Okay, put the other one right side down on top of it. You want to make sure that you are joining perfectly as much as possible these edges where the cuff meets the top of the bag, and I'm just going to pin it. Okay, there we go. I'll pin the rest at the bottom. Yep, rest at the bottom. You know what I didn't do? I didn't chop off the extra because I know this is too long. So I can still have time to do it. Okay, see how that's too long? Okay, I want them the same. I'm going to take my scissor or a rotary cutter. And I'm going to make sure it's even. This way you don't have to be so perfect with your measurements. Okay, and I'll do the same thing on this side, which I didn't do here either. Okay. Smooth it down. Chop off any excess. Okay. All right, where was I? Sewing this together now. Okay. And I want to make sure this is matching exactly. Right here on the other side. I'm just going to pin it right there. You can put some extra pins if you like. So now we're going to sew this on one side with 1/4 of an inch. I'll turn that off because that doesn't look good. Okay. Cross the foot pedal. Went under the table. Here we go. Got it. And I usually, you don't have to back tack at the end. It really doesn't matter. The reason is because I'm going to box the corners, so that's going to get cut off anyway. Now, over here where my strap is, I'm going to back tack just to get some more strength there. Okay, and then on this side, and I'm sewing the side with the what do you call that thing? The strap on it. Okay. And I'm sewing all the way down to the end. Okay. Now on the lining side, well here, let me just sew these. Sew this side, the end, this is the bag. Again, you don't need to back tack because we're going to box the corners. And I'm making sure that double checking that those are meeting. Okay, that's a good one. didn't cut quite even, did I? Must have been folded. Okay, on the bottom of the liner, I'm going to sew in about 2 inches in back tack. Come over, leave a gap, about a 3 to 4 inch gap, and come over here and sew again to the end. Okay. Okay, and I need a corner because I'm going to box my corner. Now, what I like to do before I turn this is I want to at least finger press, if not press my seam open. Same thing this way. It just makes it easier to sew. So see how I've just laid these seams back this way and just finger press it, and that's going to make it easier to go through the opening. So I need a ruler of some sort. There's a little one. Okay. I want to box the corners, so I'm going to measure, I don't want them boxed very much, so I'm going to take a 1 inch square out, and so here I'm just going to draw it. See what I'm doing right here? And this one, I'm just lining up the 1 inch marks with the seam lines. Okay, and I'm going to cut it. Cut this side. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bag side. Again, here's my sewing lines right here. So I match up the 1 inch marks. And I'm going to use this blue pen so I can see, well, not a chalk one. Let's see, what do I have here? Here's a blue marker. Okay. And another line right here. Okay. Pens back in there little. There we go, and cut. Cut right on the line. Thread holding it there. Okay, then we open this up like this. I'm going to match up the bottoms, and I'm going to put one over top of the other. So the bottom layer I'm going to push towards the right and the top layer towards the left. Okay. And just sew across by 1/4 inch, and this time I will back tack. So if you can see that I'm just back tacking. Oops, straight line, keep it a straight line, Jerry. And back tacking. Do that on this side. Now, this one I pushed forward, so I want now this opposite side to be in the same direction as the rest of the seam. So the rest of the seam will all go in one way. You can pin this if you like. Again, you know I like to live dangerously. Back tack my corner. Pull that nice and straight. Okay, do the same thing on the lining. Again, I pull. Okay. All right. And so 1/4 inch here. That gives you about 1.5 inches on the bottom that it'll box out. Now, before I turn this bag right side out, I want to find the side that does not have the strap. And I want to take my seam ripper. Where is it? There it is. Yep. Take my seam ripper, and then over here, on the linings, or actually right in here, okay? Between the part where it's the 1-inch mark and the top of the batting, I want to remove some stitching. I just want to poke through the stitching. Did I get it? I'm not, so that this is, we're going to remove the seam in order to get the tape in. So let's see if it'll open. You don't want to go too far, and it didn't. There we go, just a little bit, okay? I just want to get it started. I want to be able to just like poke in, that's all, just a little bit. The rest I'll get later. Okay, so now we want to pull the bag through the opening. This is the part I take the pin out before I stab myself. Okay. Since I've already pressed that once, I don't have to press it again. I'm going to poke out all these corners. And I'm going to poke out the corners here on the lining. Again, here. Okay. I'm at this point going to see where it's open. Since I've already pressed it, it makes it nice and easy to get that seam allowance inside without it being all wonky. And I'm just going to edge stitch that closed. Just inside. You could hand stitch it if you want to. But if somebody's face is that far inside your bag, better be under the age of 2, or I'm going to smack them. Okay. Now I'm going to poke this inside, and we're almost done. Smooth it in. Let me come out a little bit. Okay. You can pin this if you like to get it nice and smooth. Like that. See, I have a little opening there. That's why you don't want to open it very far. Just a tiny bit. We're going to open it more in a minute. Okay, I'm going to just put this down. Make sure everything is nice and even in there. If you have a free arm, now is the time to get it open. I do not have a free arm. This is a commercial, semi-commercial machine, so therefore I don't have a free arm. So what I'm going to do is tuck my bag wrong sides out, because I can sew inside this hole. Okay, poke everything inside. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to, let me find the side. Here's the side right here. Okay, I'm going to just simply stitch right here, less than 1/8 of an inch in, just along the top. I'm not going to back tack either. Okay, so I can feel along the edge of the batting, and I'm just going to stitch, or top stitch it right there. And take your time. Now is not the time to be a Speedy Gonzales. There we go. don't want to take too big of a bite, but just about 1/8 of an inch. So you just go a few inches at a time. Because yes, we don't always have a free, okay, now I've come to the end. Yep, I have. I'll back tack a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to move to this inner side, right at the stitch in the ditch mark. In fact, if you just try to go a hair above it, okay, you don't have to worry about if you're not stitching in the ditch perfectly. I gotta tell my quilting students, it's easy to quilt in the ditch, to stitch in the ditch. It's very difficult to do it perfectly. And if you, like we always say, if you stitch right in the ditch, you won't see it. But the minute you hit what I call the high side, the part with all the fabric, you're gonna see it. So we might as well see it, all of it, and then we won't notice if it's not perfectly straight. Again, if their face is that close, oh my God, you're gonna die. We're almost there. All right, come around to the beginning. Just a little more. Okay, right there, and I'll back tack. Okay. I'm going to put this bag right side out again. Okay. There. All right. Now, okay, how do we get these things in there? Get the other one. Come here. There. How do we get these in there? Easy. You know that part we had started to poke out? Where did I leave it? Here it is. Only I did leave the wrong side. That's okay. It'll go in either side. But I think I want it from the inside. So instead, I'm going to unstitch. I unstitched the wrong side. You should have done it on the inside. This is why it helps to get it started, because it's hard to, I don't want to cut my fabric. I just want the stitches. And this daggone machine stitches so well. There we go. Nope. Didn't get it. There we go. Aha. Okay, unstitch that. This one here. There. Okay. Now we want to put this in so that it curves in towards the center of the bag. So this just slides inside. There. And, I didn't get it all the way through. Some more. Just got to work it through. All the way. Come on. It's hung up on something. There we go. I just needed to put some strength behind it. And see, now it's inside. And now we put it on the other side. This way. Again, the curve goes to the inside of the bag. Takes a little bit of strength, so you have to sort of push it like that. Okay, it's all inside, so now the only thing I have to do is slip stitch this together. And of course this side, because I got the wrong side. And then your bag is actually done. And this one is actually bigger. And see, it stays closed. And you just, these are big enough that they can just help open it like that. And your bag is finished. And isn't that cute? And it's nice and finished on the inside. So once I get this stitched closed, well, I'll just use a hand needle to stitch, you know, just to whip stitch it closed, and it is neat on the inside. There's no seam allowances, there's no raw edges, there's no strings hanging, and I think it turned out cute. These tape measures are so neat. And here's where is, so this will last me forever. I think was 25 feet long, and I'm using what, 16 inches? I could make like 20, a lot of bags. At least 20 bags out of this one little package here. So what I did, this was a little tricky taking apart. So there were originally 3 screws, and there was a screw holding something here. So I took all the screws out, and then I pulled it apart, which I already, here we go. I'll show you what it looks like when it's apart. Now when you get it back in together, you don't want to ever like let loose of things, because you don't want to be recoiling 25 feet. There. So you take it out carefully, and so you just turn it. So you take this out. Okay, I'm getting funny stuff going on with my computer. So there it comes to this end. You take out what you want, like that, and you push it back in, turn that beyond the point, and then put your cover back on and screw it back in, or put some of the screws back in. You really only need to put one in, and you're done. So anyone have any questions? I will see you next week, where we'll have another combination sewing and IQ designer project. So you guys have a good weekend. You guys stay cool, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.